The following video essay aims to investigate, plan, and implement a program for ambulance paramedics to support and improve their responses to those affected by child maltreatment. As per Section 8 and 9 of the Child Protection Act 1999, a child is defined as an individual under 18 years of age, and harm to a child is any detrimental effect of a significant nature of the child's physical, psychological, or emotional well-being. There are 5 recognised types of child maltreatment within Australia: child physical, sexual and emotional maltreatment, neglect and exposure to domestic violence, and it is immaterial how the harm was caused. It must be noted that childhood maltreatment can be referred to and included as an adverse childhood event. As pre-hospital healthcare providers, paramedics are frequently called to the home of a child and are often exposed to sources and scenes of child maltreatment that would otherwise go unnoticed by other healthcare professionals. Because of this, paramedics have a unique opportunity to fulfill an essential role in identifying neglect and abuse within the home, school, or any other location. Section 13E of the Child Protection Act 1999 states that mandatory reporting of suspected child maltreatment is a legislative requirement for doctors and nurses. All other clinical staff, including paramedics, are entitled to report suspicions of child abuse and neglect. The current legislation means that paramedics have a purely discretionary duty to report suspected child maltreatment. Paramedics are the only mandated to report suspicions of child sexual abuse, where a failure to protect a child from sexual abuse is a criminal offence with a maximum penalty of 5 years imprisonment. However, it is worth noting that children who were exposed to even one type of violence, both within the past year and over their lifetime, were at far greater risk of experiencing other types of violence.
So now you know what the current penalties are, you might be wondering to yourself, just how common is this problem? How can I identify it and what are the effects? Child maltreatment is unfortunately a very common problem in modern society, with current literature suggesting that 4 to 16% of children get physically abused, with 10% being emotionally abused or neglected in wealthy countries. Furthermore, specifically in Australia, 13% of adults report some form of adverse childhood event, with the average age for abuse beginning around 8 years old. The signs of child maltreatment can be hard to identify. The following is a list of signs that could be caused by abuse. These include such things as significant distrust of adults, extreme behaviours, bedwetting, accident-prone or a lot of unexplained bruising or injury, suicidal tendencies, inappropriate sexual behaviour, inappropriate clothing, malnutrition or poor hygiene can also be some further red flags. The specific burden that adverse childhood events have on society will never be fully ascertained. However, multiple studies have attempted to characterise the effects and provide data on the risk factors. Studies by the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows that 2.2% of total burden of disease in Australia is attributed to childhood abuse. This represents a massive financial burden that has been placed upon our health system. The same study goes on to show that 27% of all anxiety disorders have been caused by childhood maltreatment, with 26% of all suicides occurring in people who had been abused in foundational years. Early childhood exposure to domestic violence has also been shown to significantly increase the risk of developmental delays, with delays being most severe in women.
Under the Child Protection Act 1999, Section 13E, doctors and nurses are mandated to report all suspected child abuse. We propose the addition of paramedics to this legislation, mandating that all suspicions of child maltreatment must be reported, not just sexual. Paramedics are afforded the privilege of experiencing their patients' living situations and are placed at an advantageous position for recognising adverse childhood events at the source. Mandatory reporting reduces any confusion regarding paramedics' responsibilities to report and will ensure uniformity across the service. Furthermore, mandatory reporting prevents paramedics from relying on other professionals to report, such as police officers and nurses, and will empower paramedics to actively contribute to child safety. The creation of a dedicated QAS CPG to child maltreatment will educate paramedics on the legislation, presentation, assessment and management of any suspected abuse. The CPG will provide an introduction to child maltreatment epidemiology and will summarise all relevant legislation, including reporting responsibilities. The presentations of child maltreatment will be provided, as well as any risk groups. The CPG will then go on to provide a step-by-step process into the assessment and management, including how to obtain a detailed history and its importance, methods to communicate with the victim, and strategies to ensure victim and paramedic safety. Reporting and documentation responsibilities will also be detailed within the CPG. The CPG will provide the information to paramedics in a familiar and easy to access format, located in the QAS DCPM. The creation of such a CPG poses many benefits, such as paramedic education, a high quality of care, and the protection of children against violence and adversity by standardising certain practices across paediatric cases, such as inquisition into maltreatment. The addition of social work resources via EARF enables paramedics to directly consult at hospital with an on-shift social worker. This provides paramedics with a new point of access to report child maltreatment concerns, replacing the current avenue of reporting to hospital triage staff. This point of contact ensures that sensitive patient information is effectively communicated within a controlled environment and concerns of child maltreatment are received by staff. On an individual level, the strategy's perceptiveness empowers paramedics to take action in protecting vulnerable populations through validating and addressing the concerns of child maltreatment. Mandating professional development dedicated towards child protection ensures quality clinicians are equitably dispersed throughout the service, in addition to upholding the currency of evidence-informed practice. Paramedics would be advised on how to effectively communicate with victims, educated on strategies that ensure child safety, as well as methods to maintain paramedic and public safety from perpetrators. Paramedics will need to demonstrate a sufficient understanding of child maltreatment in accordance to the proposed clinical practice guidelines. The fundamentals of this, consisting of legislation, social and clinical presentation, as well as scene management specific to the context of adverse childhood events. In relation to cost effectiveness, this measure poses as an economic strategy for providing quality care to arguably the most vulnerable patient demographic.
Created using Powtoon.